Hello friends, today we will discuss about organisms and population part 1 of 12th standard. In this session, we will go through organism, population, ecology, harsh and extreme habitats, components of habitats and responses to a biotic factor. So let us start the session. First, it is about organisms. Whenever we consider the ecological hierarchy, it begins at the level of organisms and proceeds to levels of greater complexity, that is population, biotic community, ecosystem and biomes. An organism is a living unit in nature and has different characteristic features. So let us discuss about different characteristic features of an organism. An organism may be a small, unicellular or large, multicellular. The parts of an organism, whether organelles, cells, tissues, organs or organ system, are organized into a functional whole and cannot survive apart from the whole. Means all of these are present in organism. An organism is a growing, self-regulating, self-perpetuating entity often capable of autonomous movements. An organism has its own structure which is maintained by various life processes. Organism cannot survive in strict isolation in nature. It depends on other around it. Individuals have a fixed life span. Means each organism have fixed lifespan, that is birth, and again it will die. It have organized life cycle also. It consists of birth, growth, maturity, old age and finally death. The organisms arise from the pre-existing organism of their own kind by means of reproduction, either by vegetative or asexual or sexual means. That is why they resemble their parent, and this helps in continuity of their life. The organisms are fully adapted to their environment by some adaptive features, and these adaptive features helps them to survive. An organism is thus basic smallest unit of ecological hierarchy. Now it is about population. Population is the group of individuals of same species living together in a common area at a particular period of time. For example, all the frogs living in a given pond constitute a population. Similarly, all water hyacinth plants growing in the same pond constitute another population. Organisms of same kind may form several populations inhabiting different geographical areas. Suppose frogs and water hyacinth plants found in a pond, found in a marsh, found in a stream, found in a lake. They represent different population of same organisms. Now it is about ecology. The term ecology refers to the study of interrelationships of living organisms, that is animals, plants and microorganisms, and between organism and its physical environment, means abiotic environment, abiotic factor of the environment. German biologist Ernest Haeckel in the year 1869 was the first to coin the term ecology. Here you may observe an ecosystem consisting of both living as well as non-living component. Now let us discuss about extreme and harsh habitat. First you should know that what is habitat. Habitat is the living or dwelling place where an organism live, survive, breed and flourish successfully. For example, habitat of lion is forest, not zoo. Habitat of lotus is pond. So let us see what are the different habitat which are extreme and harsh. They are scorching Rajasthan desert, perpetually rain-soaked Meghalaya forest, deep ocean trenches, then torrential streams, permafrost polar regions, high mountain tops, boiling thermal spring, stinking compost pit, our intestine. So you can see that there are so many harsh and extreme habitat where common organisms means human being can't survive. So there some organisms are present. In the given figure, you may observe the biome distribution with respect to annual temperature and precipitation. This distribution forms the major biomes such as desert, grassland, tropical forest, temperate forest, coniferous forest, Arctic and alpine tundra. This figure also depicts about the biome distribution with respect to annual mean temperature and annual mean precipitation. Here you may visualize major biomes of India, that is tropical rainforest, deciduous forest, desert and sea coast. Now our next topic is components of habitat. Habitat includes both biotic and abiotic components. Abiotic components include temperature, water, light, soil, rainfall, humidity, etc. Whereas biotic components includes pathogen, parasites, predators and competitors. Means it includes living components. But in abiotic it is physiochemical or non-living components. Now let us see what are the major abiotic factors. First of all, we will discuss about temperature. Temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness. Latitude, altitude, topography, vegetation and slope affect are the factors which influences influence changes in the temperature. It is the most ecologically relevant environmental factor. Temperature decreases as we move from equator towards the pole and from plains towards the mountain top. A few organisms can tolerate and thrive in wide range of temperature. They are called as eurythermal. But a vast majority of them are restricted to a narrow range of temperature. They are called as stenothermal. Next abiotic factor is water, which is the most important factor that support life of organisms. The productivity and distribution of plant is dependent on water. Some organisms are tolerant to a wide range of salinities called as euryhaline, whereas others are restricted to a narrow range of salinities called as stenohaline. For aquatic organisms, the quality of water becomes important. Many freshwater organisms cannot live for long time in seawater and vice versa. This is due to osmotic problems. Light is another abiotic factor. It is an important factor for all green plants. As we know that green plants are autotrophs and they prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis in the presence of light, carbon dioxide and water. Many species of small plants, that is herbs and shrubs, grow in forests are adapted to do the process of photosynthesis under very low light conditions, as they are constantly overshadowed by tall canopied trees. Many plants are dependent on sunlight to meet their photoperiodic requirement for flowering. Light is important for animal also, as they use the diurnal and seasonal variations in light intensity. On that basis, some are nocturnal and some are diurnal. Next abiotic factor is soil. The fertile surface layer of earth capable of supporting growth of plant is called soil. The nature and property of soil is different at different places. Soil is dependent on the climatic, the weathering process, whether soil is transported or sedimentary, and how soil development occurred. Various characteristics of soil like soil composition, grain size and aggregation determines the percolation rate and water holding capacity of the soil. Whenever the soil particle size of soil particle is more, then the percolation rate is also more, but water holding capacity is less. Vegetation in a particular area depends upon pH, mineral composition and topography of the soil. Now we will discuss about responses to abiotic factors. There are various possibilities which is shown by different organisms differently. First is regulate. In this, organisms are able to maintain homeostasis by physiological means, sometimes behavioral also, which ensure constant body temperature and constant osmotic concentration. That is, such organisms maintain the constancy of internal environment. All birds and mammals and very few lower vertebrate and invertebrate species are capable of thermoregulation and osmoregulation. We maintain a constant body temperature of 37 degree. In summer, when we are outside and the temperature is more than the body temperature, then we used to sweat profusely to make our body cool. Similarly, when in winter the outside temperature is lower than the 37 degree, then we start to shiver to produce heat to raise the body temperature. But plants have no such mechanism to maintain internal temperatures. Another response of abiotic factor is conform. 99% of animals and nearly all plants cannot maintain a constant internal environment, but their body temperature changes with the ambient temperature. In aquatic animals, the osmotic concentration of the body fluids changes with that of the ambient water osmotic concentration. So these animals and plants are conformers. Next is migrate. In this case, the organism can move away temporarily from the stressful habitat to a more hospitable area, and again they return back when a stressful period is over. Example, every winter the famous Keolado National Park, Bharatpur in Rajasthan, hosts thousands of migratory birds coming from Siberia and other extremely cold northern region. Means that extremely cold climate is not suitable for that bird. So they will shift to the less colder climate and they migrate there. Another response to abiotic factor is suspend. It is seen in bacteria, fungi and lower plants. In this case, various kinds of thick-walled spores are formed which helps them to survive during unfavorable situations. When the favorable situation comes, they germinate and grow. In case of higher plants, seeds become dormant by going into a state of dormancy. They do so by reducing their metabolic activity, means they become inactive. On the onset of favorable situation, that is favorable moisture and temperature, they again germinate after breaking the dormancy. In the animals, some who are unable to migrate, then they may go into hibernation, that is winter sleep, and estivation, that is summer sleep. Means their metabolic activity becomes slow. Many zooplankton species under unfavorable situation in lakes and ponds enter in a diapause stage, which is a stage of suspended development. Here graphically you may observe the responses to abiotic factors, that is conformers, regulators and partial regulators. So this is all about today's session. Thank you. For any kind of doubts, please write your question in comment section.